Today is May 6, 2021. My name is Charles Suter. Today I'm presenting How to Overcome Grief of a Loss. My main message: to recover from loss, you must apply the A4 approach. Just as a brief summary of this approach for overcoming a loss: number 1, admit; number 2, accept; number 3, adapt; and number 4, act. The longer you live, the more personal losses and tragedies that will befall you. There's no escaping it. While good fortune favors the prepared mind, life doesn't always work out as intended. So when adversity does strike, whether it be the loss of a job, loss of health, loss of love, loss of money, or the death of a loved one, you will suffer less and recover faster if you follow the A4 method as offered by the author of this approach, M.K. Kopmeyer. This presentation describes the A4 method with suggestions as how to apply it to recover from any loss, tragedy, or hopelessly adverse situation. First step to overcoming grief of a loss is to admit and acknowledge the adverse event. If you cannot change reality, then you must deal with it. There is no recovery from grief until you stop denying reality. The sooner you admit the loss, the sooner you begin to heal. Admitting to a potentially irreversible loss cuts the time of suffering through a normal grieving process. So the sooner you decide to admit to the reality of the situation, the sooner you can begin the grief recovery progress. Despite your grief, you do get to decide how to grieve and how long to grieve. It is important to express your grief, but it is also important to get back into fully living your life as soon as practical. While there may be nothing you can do to recover the old life you are leaving behind, there is much work to be done in creating a new life for you to live going forward. Step number 2 to overcoming the grief of a loss: accept the reality of the adverse event. Once you stop denying reality and accept it, you can begin to deal with it. From acceptance comes choices for altering your life for the better. Similar to admitting reality is accepting reality and beginning the recovery phase from grief. You can continue to grieve while at the same time beginning to face and contemplate the future. Once you have a fully accepted reality of your new situation, you can begin to set aside all the pleasant memories, the old life or comfort zone you had previously grown accustomed to. While one door or chapter of your life has closed, your life is not yet over. You can choose to write many more interesting chapters to your life story, but the choice is yours. You only get to live this one life once, so you might as well choose it well. Third step for overcoming the grief of a loss: adapt to adverse events as best you can. In the short term, begin adjusting your life so as to minimize the pain of loss. Change your thinking away from a focus on the past to a focus on the present. The first positive step towards resuming life and living a positive future begins with the decision to stop looking backwards to the old life, which may be no longer possible to live, and looking forward to a new life and all the unsampled possibilities you can possibly imagine. Given your new life situation, the first positive step is to create a new comfort zone for yourself so that you can put an end to all the negative emotions associated with the loss that has so traumatized you. Make whatever adjustments that seem appropriate, mentally, physically, and spiritually, so that your life returns to a semblance of normality and your emotional distress is eased. The last and fourth step to overcoming grief of a loss is to act in your own best interests, proactively, without waiting for the right circumstances. You will create those circumstances. In the long term, begin defining a new life for yourself and make future plans. Begin working your plans to create a new and better future for yourself. So the second positive step to regaining your life is to begin choosing how you want to live it, what other aspirations you have for your life, and how you might make adjustments to expand your new comfort zone to include these aspirations. The sooner you can get to work on creating a new life worth living, shifting your focus and attention towards the future, your mind will no longer be fixated on your past tragedy and losses, so that you can begin to be hopeful about your future and the expectation of living the next chapter of your life. My final message: overcome grief by admitting, accepting, adapting, and acting. By remembering to apply the A4 method to overcoming a distressing loss to your life, you can recover quicker from grief by shifting your attention away from the unrecoverable past to all the possibilities not previously considered while you were ensconced in your previous comfort zone. After a reasonable time of grief, it's time to shift your attention from the past to the future, to begin creating a new life for yourself, with new choices not previously considered. Give yourself a reasonable time to grieve, but then quickly transition back into living a life worth living, one that you get to choose for yourself, by opening a new chapter in a life that only gets to be lived once. By finding something new of value to live for and start living it, you can move beyond grief to a new chapter of your life. That's all for now. Remember to stay positive. You'll be happier, healthier, and live longer.